everybody, Dan here, Scootering Magazine, and today we are joined by Stephen Hattersley of WildWood Legal. WildWood are a specialist law firm who cover a number of areas, but one of their specialist departments is helping scooterists. Stephen is a scooterist of 30 plus years and has a regular column in the front of Scootering Magazine. I'll pop some links to subscriptions and single copy deals in the comments below. And if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, then just check out the column in the front of the magazine. Stephen's email is in there. I'll also pop that in the comments below. And then if you have any questions that stem from these videos, feel free to send them in. Okay, we'll jump straight in and we're going to run through a series of questions which quite often crop up from scooterists and see what answers Stephen can give us. One chap here who wrote into the magazine, he wrote, I slid off my scooter on a cold morning recently and I injured myself. It's a known black spot, and police told me they had asked the council to grip the area, but they hadn't done so. So can he make a claim for his injuries?
There's a possibility of it, certainly. It's a real grey area, this thing about the council's obligation to grit. There've been a couple of cases on it, but they're always very specific and turn on their own facts. So there's no sort of clear-cut, yes, you can or no, you can't. It all depends on what the situation is. There was one case a while ago where there had been a couple of accidents, one even on an icy bend, and the police asked the council to grip the area, but they said it's not our policy to do so. Then another guy, a motorbike rider or a scooter rider, came along and came off at the same spot. And so you can imagine in that situation, it wasn't too hard for the court to find that the council was responsible, certainly in part, for failing to grip that area. I don't know about you, but ice is one of the things that just makes me keep my scooter firmly locked in that garage, to be honest. It's just scooter and ice. It's, yeah, usually not finishing.
When I was younger and it was my only mode of transport, you have no choice. And I had and I'm one of those people who's consistently late for everything. And every morning I took the same route to work. And during winter, I remember one week I fell off at the same, it was a low speed corner as you turned into a road. And it was often icy because it was on a hill and the water would run onto the hill. For some reason, I fell off, I think 4 times in 1 week. I never seemed to grasp the fact that I needed to slow down. That's been 17 years old and just, not
invincible
thinking.
At that age.
But now, at nearly 50, ice is one of the few things that I just can't handle.
Horrible stuff. Horrible stuff. Bad enough in a car, to be honest, but yeah.
I can put up with just about every other weather event, but once it gets to ice, well, it's not helpful. Hopping back a minute to the concept of alterations to scooter, one very common one, even if people don't do paint jobs or performance ones, is the size of the number plate. And quite often we want to, a large full-size number plate looks unsightly on the back of a scooter. And quite often people will trim down the size of those. And what's the worst that can happen if you fit a small number plate?
I can't find any stats on how often this happens, but it is an offence. There's all sorts of regulations about the size of the number plate, the size of the font, the type of lettering, the spacing of the lettering, the format of it, whether it's on the front or whether it's on the back. If you breach those, I think the maximum fine you can get is £1,000. If anyone's had a fine of £1,000, I've never heard of it. I think you need a particularly bad-tempered policeman or traffic warden to pick you up on it. But it's not to say that bad-tempered traffic warden and police don't exist. So yeah, it's a bit of a grey area.
One of my friends who is a police officer and a scooterist, he often said what a lot of individuals don't take into account when they get stopped by the police is not always the legality of it, but he says, have they passed the roadside attitude test? And he said quite often, if you're a police officer who is otherwise having a good day, you stop somebody for a minor, inquiry or whatever, and the police officer is then faced with a barrage of abuse, I think quite often that can lead to extra repercussions which weren't originally on the cards.
A mate of mine told me a story years ago about someone who was stopped by the police on a bike, and the police asked him whether he had anything to drink, and he said about 4 pints. And the police was all right, I'm going to breathalyze. They breathalyzed him, came back at 0. And he said, I thought you said you had 4 pints. He said, well, I didn't say you had 4 pints, what of? And he was promptly, they found about 3 things on his bike, which took it off the road. He didn't see his bike again for a while. So yeah, I think you can help yourself or decide not to help yourself in those situations.
Yeah. Okay. Great stuff. Well, thanks very much for your time. I'm Dan Clare,
No problem,
Magazine.
pleasure.
You're Stephen Hattersley, WildWood Legal. See everybody on the next video.